Hi, my friends. Master Boone Brown, Ancient Ways Martial Arts Academy. Today's date is February 15th, 2018. The reason why the date's important is that yesterday there was an active shooter event at a high school in South Florida. Not many people know this, but there was also an event this past week here in Bradenton at Bradenton Christian School. There was a man pulled up early morning in his car, music blaring, screaming that he was going to blow the place up and that he had a gun. And it was before the school was open, but there were a lot of kids there in the middle schoolers and high schools, being typical middle schoolers and high schools. Instead of finding safety and getting help, they all pull out their cameras and are videoing him. So with that, it probably would be a bad idea to offer up a video to hopefully make everybody a little bit more aware of the situation and give them some advice. No one was hurt in the situation at BCS, thankfully, and I'm sure they are scrambling to make sure they have a policy in place so that nothing like this happens again. All right, so now let's talk about the gun control a little bit. You guys, it doesn't matter how you stand on gun control. Back in the 1980s, when I worked as a recreational therapist in a psychiatric hospital, insurance would say, oh, you have a family member who needs help. Great, we'll pay for the psychiatric care for them, whether it's long-term or short-term. I worked at a short-term facility that paid for the medicine for them. It was just like regular medical treatment. But then finally the insurance companies go, hey, we're not making any money here. These people aren't getting well. As they're psych patients, they're not going to get well. They're going to be like that the rest of their lives. Many of them need care in a facility for the rest of their lives. Keep them away from the general population, keep them from hurting themselves or someone else. Well, the insurance companies don't care. They're just in it for the money, and the state would rather, make money and spend their money doing other things. And so the state hospital in Arcadia shut down, and then the hospital that I worked for after I was gone, it shut down too. There are very few places for patients to go who need psychiatric care anymore. And in most places they do go are very short term to get them heavily medicated and then put them back out on the street where they stop taking their meds. Until our government begins to actually care about these people, nothing is going to change. And so we can blame gun control all you want, and I think that there definitely is room for improvement in that area. But the real problem, I believe, is our lack of care for our citizens who need help. And so moving on from that, it doesn't really matter what the issue is. The main issue is you and I and our kids that we got to keep safe. And so let me give you a little bit of advice on this. The rule that we use is run, hide, and fight. And so let's talk about this really, really quick. It's similar to the advice we give kids who deal with bullies. A, get away. If you can get away from the bully, that's your first responsibility. If you can't get away, then you block. And so block everything the bully throws, or put up a backpack so he's not hitting you, he's hitting your books instead, or whatever. And hopefully he'll get tired and he'll leave you alone. And if that doesn't work and you have to protect yourself, then you fight back. With an active shooter, it's similar. Run, get away. But there's also a correct way to run and a non-correct way to run. If you run directly away from him, he's going to get a beat on you and shoot you. If he's right-handed and you move to his left or to your right, it's much easier for him to use the muscles in the chest for minute control to track you and to shoot you. Whereas if you move to your left and his right, he's using the muscles of his back and shoulder, which are less fine control, to try to track you and shoot you, and he's less likely to actually get a shot. And that may be new information for you, but this is something that we teach in our classes to our adults whenever we're dealing with gun defenses. All right, and so when you run, make sure that you're running at a 90-degree angle, a zigzag, so that it's really, really hard to get a beat on you, and try to run to your left if you can tell that he's right-handed, so that he's not going to get as quick a shot on you. And then the second thing to do is hide. Hide behind something that's going to be somewhat proof from ricochets and direct shots if you can, and tell your kids too. Now, we're going to talk about what to tell the kids and what not the kids in a minute, but it's a conversation that you need to have with your kids, not me. I've had this conversation with my kids back when they were little, and they know all this stuff, but not everybody is as comfortable talking to their kids about this, so it's definitely something you're going to have to decide for yourself how much of it you want to talk to your kids about. Do you want them to be scared, or you just want them to be more aware, and we'll talk about the difference here in a minute. All right, and now the third thing is to fight. Now, if a guy steps around where I'm hiding and he's got the gun, and my choice is sit there and get shot or fight and get shot, I'm going to fight and get shot. If it gives someone else a couple of seconds opportunity to get away, then I'm going to do that. My objective is going to be to grab hold of the weapon so that it's not pointed at me or anyone else. If I do take a couple of shots, but it protects someone else, then I'm willing to make that sacrifice for my community and especially for my family. I think all of us would feel that way. Now, there are lots of cool defenses against active shooters using automatic weapons or handguns if you are within reach of them, and we teach those here in our program. But again, your first objective is to get away if you can. All right. And so with bullies, we tell the kids the same thing: avoid, block, and then hurt. But recognize that when you fight back, nobody really wins a fight. You're still going to get hit, it's still going to hurt, and it may be life altering. And so do your best to avoid that. Now, I'm going to kind of give you guys a 30-day challenge here. So adults, kids, teenagers, doesn't matter. The 30-day challenge is this. For the next 30 days, everywhere you go, know exactly where the closest exit is and how you would get there, and also know where the next one is too, in case that one gets blocked for whatever reason. And make sure that whoever you're with, they know that hey, there's one exit, there's the other one. Not ask you to be paranoid, just be aware. A couple of things to be aware of. Since all those psych patients are out there now, wandering around, driving buses and voting for, maybe even running for public office, let's be alert to them. Let's make sure that you look around. If you see some guy wearing a long coat, possibly carrying a weapon or whatever, we need to know that. Maybe someone's just agitated or seems really disturbed. Okay, we need to be aware of that. Your first objective when you see something like that, though, is not to deal with it, but to get to safety first and then deal with it. Because if you deal with it and get shot and you're the first one shot, then no help is coming. But if you can go and get to safety first and then call the police and let them come and help, it will be better. So just be aware and watch for those people. And now on top of that too, be aware of the things nearby, places where you could hide if need be, if a shooting broke out, and look at things you could use as weapons or distractions, whether it be to pick up a napkin dispenser or salt shaker or something like that to use as a form of defense. All of these things can be used as weapons. All right, and be aware too that this person, it may not be a shooter. They may have some other form of weaponry, but we still need to be alert and aware of them. All right, now, so that's the 30-day challenge. Just be more aware of where you are and what you're doing and where you're going. Try to have a different confidence level to you too. They say that women who have a pepper spray or whatever, just by taking it out in their hand, it gives them a confidence that definitely can deter someone from choosing them as a victim. Now, a lot of the advice I'm giving you definitely comes from my training, but I have a really good friend, Robbie Beard, who owns martial arts schools in Memphis, Tennessee. He's a former law enforcement officer and SWAT trainer. And so just know this advice comes from someone who definitely knows what they're talking about. He travels the country these days doing active shooter seminars. And so this is what he's busy doing, actually right now. And so there you go. Now, for parents, get together, plan to work together. You guys are Batman and Robin, I guess, or whatever, but you need to have a plan for, you're going to grab the kid, I'm going to do this, and you need to shield the kid when you're running away so that their head's not stuck up over your shoulder. Have them down here and protect them with your hands and your arms as you get away, and I'll do everything I can to stop the shooter. Have a plan for how you guys are going to defend your family and keep everyone safe. And again, it sounds like you're being paranoid, but the reality is this isn't going to go away. And so we probably need to have some type of a plan in place. I'm not asking you to be paranoid, guys, but let's just be more alert. I hate when things like this happen, but it would be even more painful if it was in my own community and it was someone that I know. And so let's keep each other safe, and let's be alert out there, okay? All right, thanks. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always available and happy to do anything I can for our community.